So with Timothy and Siti, we both work for the Port of Dover in the strategy team. And as part of the strategy team, we look at innovation as well. How can innovation help the port to become a more efficient organization? And how can we deliver a technology-driven enabled port? Next slide, please, Siti. It's a bit about the Port of Dover. For who doesn't know the Port of Dover, the Port of Dover is one of the busiest ferry ports in the world. This means we've got extremely high levels of volume, especially freight, tourist, and coaches. 33% of all trade with the EU comes to the Port of Dover. And in essence, this means it's an extremely busy place that needs to be managed very well because we are quite constrained in our land capacity. Next slide, Siti, please. It's a little video to show how busy the port is. This is only taken in about an hour's worth of traffic, both vessels, cars, coaches, trucks. So how does the port manage these high volumes of traffic? At the moment, it's all very manual. It's very human focused, human decision making. But we want to change that. So we want to be on a transformative journey, and digital twins is one way that we can use to help us. So at the moment, we've got 3 digital twins in construction, different various phases of development. One is almost complete, other ones are only at the very start. Some twins are true twins, where they fully replicate the real world. Other twins are at a more basic level at this point in time, but will advance in the next couple of years. So the first twin that we have been working on is with an SME, is for the digital, not for digital twin, it's for the strategic road network. So all the freight coming down to Dover, before we wouldn't know how much freight is arriving at what time. So we couldn't allocate resources accordingly. If you come to the Port of Dover, there's 13 lanes right after the entrance, and then you have to pick your lane, and there's freight moving around, there's cars moving around. It's a very stressful, difficult process. So what we've done with a company called Entropy is we built a digital twin of the strategic road network. So what they can do with reinforced micromodal machine learning is they've got specific nodes, and they can capture all the traffic going through a node, and then they can quite accurately assess how much of the traffic is going to the Port of Dover. So that provides for the Port of Dover is a screen in our terminal control, where we can see how much traffic is arriving at the port in the next hour, the next 5 hours, the next 10 hours, the next 2 days. So we've got a bit of data intelligence there to manage our resources accordingly, to handle the traffic and make adjustments as required. That is in development. We're going to add more functions. We're going to add real-time border processing times to get the system more advanced. At the moment, it's only freight. There's going to be tourist cars and coaches included as well. So once people arrive at the port, we need to get them from the port entrance to the vessels in the short amount of time as possible. One, for the travel experience. As a traveler, you don't want to sit in queues for ages. It's boring, it's annoying, it's not a good customer experience. The second part as well, like I said, the port is quite constrained for its land capacity. So we need to turn over our land rather quickly and quite frequently during the day. So the faster they get from A to B, and B being on the ship, the better it is for the port. So Siti will talk a bit more about that later. We're quite focused on at the moment on simulation, but next steps after Siti's work is complete is first to go semi-automated, and at some point to become a fully autonomous ferry port. And the last one is a project for a digital twin for the harbour. So the Port of Dover as a harbour is quite exposed, which means it can be challenging for vessels, not just ferries, but also cruise and cargo vessels, to enter the Port of Dover and get to their berth safely. So what we're building is a real-time assessment of the Port of Dover harbour conditions. So we can model any ship coming to Dover in current and predicted weather conditions and see if it's safe for the vessel to come to the Port of Dover. So we could potentially call a vessel and say it's better for you to wait half an hour, or to try to pick up speed and come in half an hour early, because the weather conditions will be better and it'll be safe for you to get to your berth. In the future, we'll connect this to a smart grid so we can charge electric ferries by predicting how much battery they'll be using to come from France to the UK and back. So we know how much to charge each of these vessels instead of just charging them a bit of data intelligence. And there will be an augmented reality tool as well. So you can actually feel like you're standing on a ship. So for example, cruise captains can practice their arrival in Dover, especially for the bigger vessels, they get to the berth safely. Siti will talk now a bit more about our land-side traffic digital twin.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah. Hi, everyone. So my name is Siti. I'm a KTP associate at the Port of Dover. So this is like a 3 years project. We are developing hybrid digital twin, especially for the eastern part of the Port of Dover with Kent Business School. And the challenge, three main challenges that we highlight in the Port of Dover, especially the ferry terminal, are the unpredicted delay and the congestion, especially for the freight, because the freight can just show up to the port without any booking before, as per agreement with the ferry operator. And also, there is a challenge in the decision making. There is not a really, evidence-based tool to in order to make a decision before we put investment in terms of infrastructure, etc. So we really needs to have some evidence-based tool that can be used as a digital environment to test that kind of infrastructure before we throw the investment for that things. And then, so we are building the model which can be used to identify the bottlenecks, like to highlight which area that can be congested in the period of time. And as I mentioned before, this model can be also used as a test bed to test the operational scenario. For example, we are going to invest for the common check-in for the ferry operator. So instead of using ferry operator specific booths, we are trying to use like a common check-in, like in the airport. And yeah, we managed to put it in the simulation and see the real benefit to implement that kind of new technology. And we can also do like a forecast performance, like how the future change, especially in the infrastructure, might affect the future operation. And I will talk later on in detail the study case that we had for this forecast performance, and also to manage the resource utilization, especially to allocate the number of check-in booth operator, and then for the path for the French government boat, so etc. So this is basically a very generic structure for our digital twin. And at the moment, because this project is still running, so this is like we are building the system, then we get a feedback from the stakeholder in the port or from the external. So it's like a looping feedback. And as we can see here, this system will be integrated with the historical data. So we had around like 20 years back historical data, like from the number of the vehicle that come to the port, the timing, etc. And we are going to integrate with the digital twin for the network that Timothy mentioned before. So it can be used as like a real-time digital twin. Then we also integrating with the port management system, where we can see in a real time when the ferry come to the port and drop the vehicle. Then this is all the input that we are using now through our system, which is like a vehicle type, number of vehicle, the arrival pattern, and etc. processing time. So all of these things we already collect based on the historical data at the moment. But in the near future, we are planning to integrate with the real time. With the computer vision, so it can be like a real-time simulation. And this is several output that we can produce at the moment from our simulation. Then we also joined Quantum Technology Access Program by Digital Catapult. It was like a 5 months intensive training and tailored program to explore how we can benefit quantum computing to enhance our simulation at the moment. So this is also our future plan as well. And this is just a screenshot of the system. So as we can see, we can have like a main model. There will be like a 3D view as well. And at the moment, we have like a buffer zone, path, ferry operator processing time, and also resource optimizations for the each boot. This is basically the interface that can be seen. Like we can see the buffer zone processing time and queuing through the graph, and it's going to be like update and live, because this just screenshot, so it's just like a picture at the moment. And this is like one of the study case that we had in the past, which is infrastructure change. So for the inbound, for the outbound traffic, we have like existing route as we see in the left side of this picture. So we are planning to do like a what if scenario. So what if we cut the exit route from the port, so we can use the spare land to build another, you know, route to accommodate the number of traffic. So this is basically several scenario that we test in the simulation. Then we have like a quite massive reduction, especially for the emission, as you can see in the graph, and also for the exiting time as well. And the other case study, as I mentioned before, we are planning to invest a common check-in instead of operator-specific check-in for the ferry, and it also bring up the benefit. As we can see, it's like almost it's like a 43.5% for the tourist car and 29% for the freight. So it's like a quite a good number of efficiency.
Our first question here, I'll read out, is the one highlighted at the top in purple, is the team from the Port of Dover. It says, have you looked at IFC 4.3 to model the port? And the URL was shared in the chat window earlier. Timothy and Siti.
The first one is for Siti, as Siti's writing documentation. I would be able to answer the second one though.
Yeah, can you repeat again the question, please, for the first one? Sorry.
The question here is highlighted in purple, Siti, is have you looked into using IFC 4.3 to model the port?
No, but it's a very great suggestion, because at the moment we are developing using AnyLogic and Python. But yeah, I would love to have a look. Thank you.
Very good. And the URL was shared in the chat earlier as well, Siti. Maybe then, Timothy, you can answer the second question. Let's just come up here. Did you work with National Highways to get access to their data, i.e. if there's an accident on M25, M20?
So yes, for the strategic road network digital twin, you've got access to National Highways cameras. So once that happens, that has a knock-on effect to the port. So we can see that almost live in terms of traffic arrivals, initially declining because they can't get to the port, and then a peak when the traffic congestion is cleared. So yes.
Very good. And I think that links to the question just beneath that as well of, are you working with other stakeholders to combine DT, digital twin, and operational activities together?
Not as much yet as we would want. Data sharing, as I think many people can appreciate, is very difficult and tricky between organizations, and especially between organizations and the government. So although we would like to share more data, it's a difficult process that we haven't figured out yet.
Very good. We have a quick one here, if you could please, again, Timothy, is how does the digital twin insights compare to the original master planning or operational simulations, for example, the movement of vehicles?
So there's a current master plan. It's called Port of Dover 2050. So that's going to be, it's been going on since last year, July. It's going to go until this year, July. And as an essential part of the current master plan we're working on is simulation modeling. So that will inform the basis for any future layouts of the port.